How long does it take until the smart marks take over and they're like, we're sick of you, Cody. We know that Vince is pushing you, Triple H is pushing you, whoever, right? If they go this route and they want to push this all the way up until SummerSlam, until the Royal Rumble, next WrestleMania, Survivor Series, whatever, that may actually happen. Chest up, shoulders back. Welcome to Revival Wrestling, everybody, where I have a better wrestling takes than you, and you know it. And it's funny, guys, this morning I was driving home, and I filmed a video about the ending of WrestleMania, Cody and Roman, and I didn't get the chance to upload it by the Raw after Mania, which, by the way, these post-Mania Raws the past few years have been total stinkers, haven't they? They're just boring as hell. I saw bits and pieces of this one. It looked boring as hell. Nobody came back. No legends, like no big real surprises besides what we're going to talk about in this video. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, dude. Triple H came out and was like, we're not going anywhere. And it's like, yeah, you really aren't going anywhere. This show sucks. But, yeah, so I don't need to say what we already saw. Appreciate all you guys who came in to watch the WrestleMania live streams. It was pretty rowdy at the end of night 2 there for the main event. We'll do more of those in the future. But we were talking about this in the live chat during the stream. We all expected Roman to win. We all expected Cody to win, as did most people. And I understand Roman winning as the swerve aspect. You know, they want to get him to 1,000 days. There's reasons why they wouldn't let Cody win. So, quick recap. One could simply be, this is going to be my hypothesis, it seems like, they're genuinely toying with him, whether it's just as a character or both character and personally. I don't think Triple H forgot whenever Cody hit that fake throne with that sledgehammer. You remember when he joined AEW? It was kind of his statement against WWE. That's a word of advice to you youngsters out there. Don't burn bridges like that with potential employers if you don't have a bunch of money already, because, yeah, it could hurt you, man. So just be careful. I know it's easy sometimes to gloat and be like, oh, F those people, this or that, but just play your cards professionally. Anyway, that could be a thing. It's very likely that they could simply say, we're not going to let some ex-WWE guy who formed AEW come in and beat, you know, I mean, Roman Reigns has been WWE's hand-picked project. He's been their number one guy, even though it hasn't worked fully for a long time. He's been their dude for over a decade now, or at least a decade, right? Is what it is. And then the other thing is that they just want to extend Roman's title reign to over 1,000 and maybe build Cody up more. It's like, oh, well, he just came in at the Rumble, and at 30, it was too easy. He needs to really finish the story and lose like Dusty did in the big match, and then he can capture it next year or at some pay-per-view. Here's my thing, man. We were talking about this in the chat last night. None of us could figure it out because I don't see an answer to it. I know some guys on Twitter will act like, oh, well, it's so easy to figure out and you can predict this and that. By the way, follow me on Twitter at ChestHairGang. I haven't used Twitter in years, but now I just tweet about wrestling and stuff. But here's my thing. If Cody was going to win, and you could argue he should have, because the crowd was very hot for him, and we even saw it tonight, right? If he was going to win, can he possibly have that amount of momentum and heat as he did on WrestleMania night? I don't believe he, even if it's a month from now in Puerto Rico, or wherever the next pay-per-view is, if it's SummerSlam, do you remember Heyman during the promo whenever they were setting up the tag team match on Raw tonight? It's not going to be at this or that or this. He was just rambling off pay-per-views. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Cody's momentum is not going to get where it was. Of course, the crowd's still going to cheer for him, but that is eventually going to die down. It is what it is, man, right? I mean, it's not even a fault on Cody. He can cut the best promos ever and stuff, but eventually things have to happen, right? Imagine Sammy and KO didn't win the tag titles, and then they kept pushing it out and out and out, right? Like, things have to happen at some point, even if it's the predictable thing. Sometimes the predictable outcome is the best outcome. But let's assume that it is the good idea to have Roman retain and have Cody keep fighting these battles to, I guess, solidify himself more. How long can they do this? Because we saw what happened at the ending of Raw tonight. He teamed with Lesnar, and anybody who's been watching WWE for a while could at least guess somewhat confidently that Lesnar would turn on Cody. Even at the beginning, whenever they came out, Lesnar was like jerking him to shake his hand, and he was like raising his hand really aggressively. It just looked off, right? Lesnar's not a friendly guy to anybody, whether he's a heel or a face. This is why I'm reaching the conclusion now. Are they just effing with Cody? Because think about it. Lesnar, like I just said, is a heel face, whatever. He's going to get cheered. He's just that level of a character, of a performer, of a person. He has such an aura. He could take out every person he could start attacking random people's cars on the parking lot and he would get cheered. He can do whatever he wants and he's going to get cheered because he has that unique charisma about him too. If Cody is going to go into a program with Lesnar, which we don't know if Lesnar is part-time or what's going to, again, there's so many question marks that don't make any sense, but Roman's going to be part-time. Lesnar may or may not be part-time. Who is Cody going to feud with for months and months? SummerSlam, I'm filming this on April, 3rd, I think? SummerSlam is 5 months away. There is no way they can carry this 5 more months and keep it remotely hot. It's going to be lukewarm, like soup left on the stove all day by SummerSlam if they choose to do that. Again, even in a month or two, it's going to dwindle significantly. If you were going to pull the trigger on Cody winning, last night at Mania was the time. I don't know how you could come up with another thing. Because some people are saying, oh, it's going to be a whole year-long arc and he's going to get it at WrestleMania 40 at the big anniversary show. Maybe, but is anybody going to really care by then? Or is it going to be like, oh, he won? Is he going to feud with Roman? Is he going to just feud with Solo over and over? Or him and KO and Sammy going to feud with the Usos and Solo? You know what I mean? Like, even so, as enticing as the Bloodline story has been, again, we talked about this in the chat last night, you have to end these kind of things when they're still hot. Because the Bloodline collapsing at WrestleMania would be, it's good cinema, right? Everyone loses their stuff and then they're just panicking trying to figure out what happens. And they have planted some seeds for that because of the Uso and Heyman segment whenever Heyman lied acting like Reigns wasn't there, but he was in the room. It was like a nifty little segment they did. But even so, man, the Usos and Sammy and KO, that's going to be stale in a month or two. Right? I mean, they cannot just keep dragging this on over and over and over. WrestleMania in general is a great time to change titles, and night 2 of WrestleMania, they had a lot of potential title changes they probably should have made, and they didn't do any of them. But let's assume that Cody goes into a program with Brock. Cody's going to lose momentum. Brock is always going to get cheered. Brock is going to beat the ever-loving crap out of him. If Cody ends up going over Brock, I mean, I'm sure he's going to get cheered, but even so, it's going to start to become this thing like, oh, of course he beat him. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on this man. Maybe they want to play it up like Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30 whenever he went through all those gauntlets and stuff and Cody did the same thing. Even so, man, whenever it becomes that type of thing where it's just hurdle after hurdle and it starts to get predictable, I don't know if that's the route they want to go here. So, I don't know, man. Maybe Cody never was the guy. Maybe they just prompt him up like that because he was the fresh returning guy and he came back from the injury too and he was the former employee and he reinvented himself and stuff. But otherwise, man, I don't really know. Roman's going to have at least a 1,000-day reign guaranteed. I've seen some people saying they think he's going to hold the titles for another year or two even, which I don't know how you could do that because he's won the past how many pay-per-views in the exact same fashion. The way he retained over Cody was more or less the exact same way he retained over McIntyre. It's just always bloodline interference. The Usos first, then Solo, right? So Roman is very good as a character now, and he has good matches, but they become very stale, you know what I mean? Because you can predict, it's like, okay, he's going to cheat, then this is going to happen. It's becoming very mundane. And I guess classic wrestling is mundane, right? Like Hogan always did the leg drop, and he hulked up and he won, and Cena did the 5 moves of doom, and the crowd cheered for it. But I don't know if Cody's at that level to where he can do that for months and months, and even another year, and it still work. I really don't know if that's going to be the case. Whenever that tag team match was announced, before Heyman gave the stipulation, I thought Orton was going to come back, and they could have like a little legacy type reunion. And then Heyman's like, he must have competed last night, so I was like, okay, there goes Orton. And Lesnar was good because he gave the pop and everything, but unless I'm mistaken, because I saw the highlights, the match didn't even start. Like, Lesnar just F5'd him as soon as the bell, even before the bell rang. He hit him on the mat, then he went outside on the announce table, then the steps. So once again, dude, Roman and Lesnar, which is why those two have been main eventing pay-per-views so many times back and forth, they're the two biggest stars you have, and they're both part-time now. So Cody's in this weird limbo spot where it's like, okay, who's he going to fight long-term? Are they going to keep continuing this story? Because the Usos and KO and Sammy also is going to fizzle out eventually. They're going to have to fight somebody else. The Usos didn't even fight tonight, right? They have that segment with Heyman, and they weren't even on TV the rest of the night. The Street Profits fought Sammy and KO. So, I don't know, dude. I truly don't know. Like, I sort of am intrigued because I don't know. That's one of the cool things about this story. It's like, okay, well, what's going to be next? But logistically speaking, because people were like, oh, you're so mad. They say this to everybody. Oh, you marks are upset because Cody lost and you're emotional. It's like, it's not emotion. It's about logic, dude. Because where do they go from here? Because it was talked about whenever Cody came back originally, let alone whenever he came back after the injury at the Royal Rumble at 30. People kept saying, is the crowd going to turn on him? I had the same thought. How long does it take until the smart marks take over and they're like, we're sick of you, Cody. We know that Vince is pushing you, Triple H is pushing you, whoever, right? If they go this route and they want to push this all the way up until SummerSlam, until the Royal Rumble, next WrestleMania, Survivor Series, whatever, that may actually happen. Like, if they just keep pushing Cody, he's like this baby face that comes out and he's like, oh, what do you want to talk about? Oh, my father, this and that. And he's half crying, but there's no one there to fight him, right? Part-timers just pop in and out every 4 to 5 weeks to talk to him, and then he's fighting random people. Like, if Cody just has matches with a bunch of people that aren't Reigns and Lesnar over the next course of few months, even if he is fighting guys that aren't Roman, like, is he just going to leave the title picture for 4 to 10 to 11, 12 months, and then he just comes back in the title picture, assuming Reigns even has the title, right? They've booked themselves into a corner, it seems like, because they have 2 titles that are hostage by Reigns, and I get why they are, but regardless, that's not good, I don't think. 2 world titles are held hostage. Roman's a part-timer. I'm pretty sure they wanted The Rock to come back for this WrestleMania in Hollywood, which, again, I cannot believe that didn't happen. I guess he was that busy with his movies and stuff, he couldn't get in shape or plan properly for it. But it's like, perfect stage, WrestleMania, Hollywood, the Tribal Chief and his cousin, and then The Rock has to acknowledge him or whatever. People are saying they're going to plan that for next year's WrestleMania, but once again, it's like, you're going to have Roman hold the belts for another year. Can SmackDown, I mean, Raw in general is a wasteland. Raw tonight was awful. I don't watch Raw 90% of times. I only watched it tonight half-assedly because it was after Mania. Monday Night Raw is terrible. I mean, the commentary stinks, the matches stink. It's just not good at all. So Raw's already floundering. They get decent viewership, but it's not good story-wise at all. Tons of filler. And then SmackDown is much better as a show, but again, if Roman's not there, I mean, Gunther's like the only fighting champion right now. Theory fights too, but Gunther's way more legit than Theory is as a formidable character, at least at the moment. I don't know, dude. I genuinely don't know the direction they're going. They might just be screwing with Cody Rhodes. Like, this whole charade might just be their way of telling him, it's like, hey, you turned your back on us, and then you formed the other company. And I saw what you did with the throne and the sledgehammer, kid. They just pat him on the back. It's like, good luck. So let me know what you guys think down below, but I'm kind of perplexed here. I don't know what they're going to do.